Hi, and welcome to Legsville. Today we're talking to the esteemed Liz Hand, author of the Cass Neary series of books, one of my favorite series of it's kind of anti-detective fiction, isn't it, Liz? Because she never really wants to solve the crime. She just usually wants to get out of town, right? They,
Exactly.
you
She's just
know,
trying to get out of town. I
yeah,
don't believe that crime can be solved. They can just be
yeah,
committed and
yeah,
covered up and maybe apologized for long afterwards. But
yeah. God, what a cynical attitude. But
yeah,
anyway,
no, I don't.
for people who don't know, can you give us an introduction to who Cass Neary is?
Sure. And thank you. You were like such an early supporter of her legs. And she is like she would never say it, but I'll say she's really grateful for it.
Well, she was so great. It was like, I know this woman. I went out with her.
Yeah, well, she's just, for those unfamiliar with it, Cass Neary is essentially in some ways sort of like my dark, you know, more sinister alter ego. I've described her as like a alternate version of me. If my brake lines had been cut when I was like 20, 21 years old. Fortunately, they were not. But she's somebody who grew up around New York City and came of age during the first proto punk and punk era in New York, and was underwent a traumatic experience when she was in her early 20s, which kind of she was already a bit off the rails, drinking and heavy drug user, but she has this extraordinary gift for photography. And so she kind of made her name on the punk scene in the 70s, taking photographs of things as they were happening, and had this one book called Dead Girls of photos that was sort of a cause celebre. And then she totally went off the rails and
Vanished,
essentially
kind of
vanished,
vanished
disappeared.
from
She
the
ends up
public
getting,
eye. Yeah.
yeah, she ends up getting a job in the stockroom of the Strand bookstore. She goes off the rails, and decades later, she gets contacted by somebody, her drug dealer, the guy she buys, the the guy, her friend Phil, who supplies her with speed. She's an alcoholic and a speed freak, and he uh he says, "Hey, I've got this like interesting gig for you. You might be interested in doing this. There's this, there's a legendary photographer who Cass really admired when she was young, and Phil says, you could go and interview this woman, and basically he's throwing her a bone, saying, go and interview her, and maybe you get a little money.
Yeah.
I can help you get the art, get it published, and you could meet your idol." And
Yeah.
so she said, like, "Yeah, all right, what the fuck, I'll do it." And so
Yeah.
she gets her speeder, and she drives
Yeah.
up to she drives up to this remote island off the coast of Maine to interview this woman, and hijinks ensue. All kinds of shit comes down. So,
Doesn't the woman or someone get murdered, right?
oh
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then but she's trying to get out of town. She's trying not to solve. That was kind of an ingenious kind of plot twist that you did. That
Well,
because
thank you.
well, because she doesn't want to solve any of these crimes. She wants to get out. She wants to not be
No,
blamed for them. Which is kind of brilliant.
well,
And
yeah.
in the course of that, she ends up solving all the crimes. You know.
It was, yeah. She doesn't even. The thing with the cast books is, I am not. I enjoy watching police procedural series sometimes, but I've never been a big fan of reading them. I mean, some of them I like. Some of them are pretty well written. I'm more, like when they shelve these books, there's so many categories of crime novels and mysteries and thrillers, and there's a subgenre that's called the amateur detective,
Yeah.
and so that's where they shelve Cass, which to me always sounds like Nancy Drew, than an amateur
Yeah.
detective. So, which you probably wouldn't want to leave Cass alone in a room with Nancy Drew for too long.
You know,
But
she'd end up corrupting her.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I mean, maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, so Cass is basically one of these people who it's not even like she stumbles on crimes. It's not like, what's the name, Jessica Fletcher and
Yeah.
Cabot Cove.
Yeah.
Cass just sort of, she's like a pinball. She's always in play.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
always moving. She's actually, after from the end of Generation Law, she's on the lam. So
Hmm.
she can't stop moving because she's wanted for questioning
Yeah.
for a suspicious death. So she's constantly moving, and because of the kind of person she is, and because of the kind of people she hangs out with and it's attracted to, she's always kind of, somewhere where something fucked up is going on. So
Yeah.
she's
Right.
there, and she's either a witness or she's a suspect, but it's never really actually, her fault, except sometimes it is. And she's kind of not even trying to solve the crime. She's sometimes she's trying to make money. Sometimes she's just trying to get the hell away.
Yeah.
Sometimes and sometimes she's just kind of curious. She can't help herself. It's like, it's like the car wreck on the highway, and she can't, it's not just that she can't resist looking at it. She can't resist like taking her, old analog camera out
Yeah.
and trying to get close enough to like photograph whatever awful things have happened. I mean, that's her thing. She's, curiosity killed the Cass
She's also
almost.
she's also bisexual, isn't she?
Yes. Yeah.
So you live in London half the year, right? So you
Yeah,
just
not quite half the year, several months of the year. My partner, John, for the last 26 years lives in the UK.
yeah.
So for as long as we've been together, we split up the time. I go there for a couple months a year, for like a month or 6 weeks at a time, and he comes here. And the truth is that London is even bleaker than Maine in the winter, because here at least we get snow and it can be beautiful, and you get these beautiful blue sky days. It's cold,
Yeah.
and there it's just bleak. It's like gray and cold, but there's a lot of distractions. There's
Yeah,
music and
but
museums.
a lot, and most of your characters in the Cass Neary books are always in these countries, like Denmark and off the coast of Sweden and Norway. They're all bleak.
It is.
You're always
It's
bleak, Liz.
it's true. It's true. There's a line in
You have a
Generation Laws.
you have a
Yeah,
you have fascination for bleak, horrible places.
I knew. I know. It's true. I love it. Yeah, there's a line in Generation Loss where somebody says to Cass, it's like all that bleak shit you love. And my
Yeah.
late friend Russell, who read that, and he laughed. He was like, "Man, that's you. You really
Yeah.
do love all that bleak shit." And it's true. I
Yeah.
do love it. I had Hokuloa Road, which is the book of mine that came out this summer. It's set on Maui, and I never named the island, but it's Maui. And my daughter has lived there for the last, I don't know, 7 years or so. And to
So you've
to
been there.
me,
So you've
yeah,
been
I've spent a lot of time on Maui, and visiting her,
there.
and to me, Maui is much more. I'm like, get me out of here. I want.
Yeah. It's too
It's like,
bright.
what is this? Oh, this what a bright light in sky. It's like, oh, warm. Oh, no, it's very, very beautiful, and but it definitely is not.
Place you'd want to live.
No, it's not. It feels very kind of I don't know, alien to me. I think I just, I'm very drawn to Nordic places. It's like, it's like that kind of uh Nordic, whatever you would call it, boreal northern vibe. I
Yeah.
just love, ever since I was a kid, I've just loved that. And it's definitely, it's challenging. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort to live in. You got to really want to live in Maine in the winter.
Yeah. No shit, huh?
So, but yeah, but I love it. I love it here, and but I love it in London too. I mean, London, it's great. It's but it definitely earns its reputation as kind of a dark place. Like when I was a kid reading Dickens, and he would talk about
Yeah, how
3
bleak.
o'clock in the afternoon and it's dark
Yeah,
and people are, walking around with their little candles. And I always thought, oh, he's taking poetic license. And
yeah,
then the first time I was in London in like the late fall, I was like, oh my God, it's like this place is even darker than Maine because it is. It's much further north.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it gets very, very dark and gloomy, but it has its charms.
Do you
I love it.
do you go out? Do you still go out to see bands and stuff in London when you're there? Or
I do. I don't go out. I didn't go out this past time just because I was a little. Well, there was no one there I wanted to see. I tend to miss like the prime time. I'm not there in the summer when there's all the big festivals and things. But yeah, and there just wasn't anybody who happened to be there that I either could afford to see or I really wanted to see. But the lot when I was there right before the pandemic. My partner and I were separated for 18 months during the pandemic because
oh,
he
I'm
couldn't
sorry.
get here, I couldn't get there. Right before that, in March, there was the son of a friend of mine in London. This guy named Harley, who's I guess he's in his early mid 30s, and
Yeah,
he called me and he said, "Hey, there's a black metal pub crawl in Camden, in Camden Town, which is right where I live
yeah,
in London." He said, "You want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." So I went with him and a friend of his, this guy Joe. And so here's the two of them and me, and we just went on this pub crawl where there were all these black metal bands in all these places in Camden Town. I did bring earplugs. Because, but it was great. Everything was packed, and I tell you, the black metal crowds are like very, you know, the, like the nicest people. I'm not kidding. The audiences at these shows are just like they're very nice, warm people. It's funny. Black metal has this reputation for, and and the music is the
yeah,
the guy singing in the Cookie Monster voice, and
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's a lot more women now actually singing in Cookie Monster voices. But
Yeah.
yeah, but the crowds are great, and the music it was great. It was really fun. So that was I felt afterwards. I was like, okay, good. If I had to go on hiatus for a while from live music, that was actually that was a good send off. But yeah, I'm eager to get back and see some stuff.
Oh, so what's going on with the film and the television rights to Cass Neary? When do we get to see her on the screen?
Well, it's still creeping along. It's everything is because of the pandemic. Things just we
Fell
didn't
by.
stop working on it. To have a great screenwriter, and I met with uh, uh earlier this year, and then when I was just here a few weeks ago, both times I met with the production team, and yeah, it's still in process. It's we're waiting. uh you know there's, as I'm sure, lots of hoops to be jumped through, but we've got a great production, English or British, production, actually an international production company, Fremantle, but working with a Castlefield, which is in northern England. It's going to be set not in the US. They've transferred it, so it's going to be filmed over there, which will be really cool.
In
And
England?
actually yep,
Yeah, yeah.
yep, and
It
and
makes it
makes
even bleaker.
it makes it even bleaker, exactly. And it actually works really well because instead of, an island off the coast of Maine, it's an island over there. And all of the other books take place either in the UK or in Northern Europe. The Available Dark is in Helsinki and Reykjavik or
Yeah.
Iceland. And then
Have you been to Helsinki?
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually spent quite a bit of time in Finland a few years back, some years back. Yeah, I really love Finland. I love the Finns.
Why? Why would you go to Finland, Liz? You know,
I I
well,
went to Finland. I was invited to Finland to a convention there called FinCon in, I don't know, 2000, in the early noughts,
yeah.
because they liked my books. This was, I think, before the Cass books, and they liked my other books. So I went there and I just fell in love with it. So since then, I've been to a couple conventions there, and also, had a Finnish publisher for the Cass books. So they brought me over a few times to do things and put me up. And yeah, and I have friends in Finland. So I love Finland, and Sweden too. I love Sweden. I have friends in Sweden and in Uppsala who, go and visit, stay there. Again, everything got cut off at the knees
Yeah.
due to the pandemic. So I hope to get back certainly to
Let me
Uppsala maybe next year.
let me ask you this. What do you think of Natasha Lyonne for Cass Neary?
Oh, she's great.
Yeah. Don't you think
I
she
love
got,
her.
I think she'd do it too, you know?
She would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have somebody who I hope, can't talk about it, who wants to play Cass. So we'll see how that pans out. And if
She,
not, Natasha Lyonne would be awesome. I love her. She's
yeah.
great. Yeah, she's she might be a little antic. She might have a
Yeah.
few too many good vibes, Cass is a little more,
Darker,
a
darker.
little, yeah, a little more battle scarred.
Yeah, but
But yeah, no.
but I think she could play a battle scarred, bleaker Cass Neary, don't you?
Oh yeah, I definitely think she could.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's brilliant. She's great. Yeah.
So what else is happening?
That's kind of it. I hope to finish this book within the next week or so, and
In the next
then
week? In the next, are you going to have a big party?
I don't know. I probably not. No, I'm gonna hope to go down and see my parents in New York and
Uh,
see them around Thanksgiving. And I love Christmas, so I'll come back and do the whole Christmas thing, I hope, with
well,
my kids.
so what's the next Cass Neary book, and where is it going to take place? If you,
That's a great question. I have to, once my brain is cleared from this, I have to like wring it out from the Shirley Jackson book and figure out what to do next. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've got a couple of ideas, and I'm not really certain where I'm going to take it. I ended I well, I don't want to say how I ended the fourth book because I don't want it to be a spoiler, but it's
no,
sort of,
be a spoiler. Be a
can I
spoiler.
spoil it? Yeah,
Yeah,
so I ended it with her. She's basically been offered this ultimatum by Quinn, who's her like longtime lover and friend, who himself has, issues with addiction, but
yeah,
he basically tells her, because he's scared, he's like, man, if you don't clean up, you're gonna die.
yeah,
And he said, and plus, if you don't clean up, it's like, that's it. I can't deal with
yeah.
this anymore because I can't be spending all my time worrying about you dying. So she decides that she's gonna like go into rehab.
Oh,
She's like, okay.
Cass Neary's going to go into rehab.
Well, that's the thing. But she hasn't done. That's how it ends. She's
and
like, all right, I'm going to do this.
and I bet
So,
someone gets murdered at the rehab.
so I actually have, yeah, this
Yeah.
thing, because I was, and in part, this came about through you. Remember, I don't know how many years ago we were in West Hollywood. You were
Yes, yeah,
doing,
yeah,
yeah, and I was
yeah,
out there and
yeah.
with you,
And
and
you were doing
yeah, and
research, and and you went to the town hall and did all this research, and I wanted to go with
exactly.
you. That was, I was so jealous of you.
Well, you were busy. You were
Yeah,
you had you were there for your own work, but it was anyway. At that time, I thought, oh man, I could really see setting something out here because it was just such a, yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's so many things that are said, obviously, in Los Angeles,
well,
but I thought,
Los Angeles, even though it's really, really bright, it's very, very bleak.
Well, it is. It's totally bleak, and that's what I thought, you know. And I
Yeah,
and I was also thinking then this was before all the most devastating rounds of wildfires. I was there, and I was like, "Oh my God, I hope I get home before this place goes up in flames," because I just felt like, how can anybody live here? This is all, you know,
a
it's so
natural
imperiled.
disaster waiting to happen. Or
Exactly. It's,
yeah,
you know, so that would be something else I would probably try to factor into the Cass novel, because there's always like some in the background of these books that there's always some kind of, you know, natural cataclysm. I mean, the climate change is,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
is all, you know, it's all back there. That's like the big backdrop for everything.
yeah.
So,
That would be
yeah. So anyway,
it'd be a great setting, wouldn't it?
it
Big
would be
fire.
dark in a different way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that's what I've been thinking of. And I do have, you know, I have this sort of scenario in mind, and but I haven't been able to think about it because I, you know, I wrote Hokuloa Road, and now I'm finishing, you know, this book, and so it's like once those are done and I can clear the decks, yeah, that I think that may be what I do next. Anyway, yeah,
Put me in a Cass Neary book, and
I
and
will put you in a Cass Neary book.
and
You,
in the wild, and kill me off.
no, I'm not going to do that. No, no, I won't do that. Maybe your life will be endangered.